kotse sa Paris, France ng araro ng mga football fans.
Intentional po kaya ang hit and run na attack na ito? Ating alamin ang mga detalye ng balita maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Huwebes.
Ekonomiya ng Pilipinas lumago sa 5.4% itong unang quarter ng 2025.
Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sinampahan ng impeachment complaint sa Office of the House Secretary General.
Pakistan ipaghihiganti ang mga nasawi sa Operation Sindor ng India.
Chinese President Xi Jinping bumisita sa Kremlin.
At Warsaw University staff pinugutan ng isang law student. Patuloy na lumago ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas nitong unang quarter ng 2025. Ayon po yan mismo sa Philippine Statistics Authority o PSA.
Ayon kay National Statistician Dennis Mapa, pumalo sa 5.4% ang gross domestic product ng Pilipinas sa unang taon o 3 buwan ng 2025. Mas mataas ito kumpara sa naitalang economic growth ng bansa noong huling quarter ng 2024 na 5.3%. Pero mas mabagal naman ito kumpara sa naitalang GDP ng PSA noong unang quarter ng 2024 na 5.9%. Tinukoy ni Department of Economy, Planning and Development Undersecretary Rosemary Edilion na kinakailangan na mapataas ng bansa ang economic growth nito sa 6.3% sa natitirang quarter ng 2025 para maabot ang lower-end targeted economic range ng gobyerno na 6% hanggang 7% para sa taong 2025. Batay sa datos ng gobyerno, nangunguna ngayon ang Vietnam bilang fastest growing economy sa ASEAN na sinundan naman ng Pilipinas. Samantala, naungusan ng Pilipinas sa mga bansang Indonesia na may 4.9%, Malaysia na may 4.4%, Thailand na may 2.8%.
Hinimok ng Pilipinas ang India at Pakistan na kaagad nilang resolbahin ang kanilang hidwaan sa mapayapang pamamaraan. Sa inilabas na pahayag ng Department of Foreign Affairs o DFA, sinabi ng ahensya na kailangang patuloy na binabantayan ang sitwasyon sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Sinabi rin ng DFA, wala pang naiuulat na nasawing mga Pilipino sa naging airstrike o strikes ng India sa Pahalgam, Jammu at Kashmir, ang Philippine Embassy sa Islamabad. Batay po sa datos ng gobyerno, may mahigit kumulang 3,350 Filipinos ang nasa India, habang 3,151 naman ang nakabase sa Pakistan.
Bantay sarado pa rin ang poll body ang 36 na areas of concern ayon kay COMELEC Chairperson George Garcia. Paliwanag ni Garcia, wala pang ibinibigay ang Philippine National Police na bagong update sa listahan na hawak nila. Dagdag pa ni Garcia, walang masyadong nangyayari at tahimik ang paghahanda para sa May 12 polls. Sa ngayon, wala nang naitatalang untoward incidents na may kaugnayan ngayong paparating na halalan.
Dinikitan at halos banggain na ng 3 barko ng China ang BRP Emilio Jacinto ng Philippine Navy. Ayon yan mismo sa Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP. Nangyari nila ang insidente sa katimugang bahagi ng Bajo de Masinloc habang nagsasagawa ng routine at maritime patrol operations ang barko ng Pilipinas. Partikular na tinukoy ng AFP ang Jiangkai 2 class frigates na may bow numbers 554 at 573, gayon din ang isang barko ng China Coast Guard na may bow number 5403. Sinabi ng AFP na agresibo at pegluroso ang panggigipit ng 3 barko ng China sa BRP Emilio Jacinto dahil posible itong magresulta sa banggaan. Nabahala rin ng AFP sa lumalalang agresyon ng China Maritime Forces na nagdudulot ng panganib sa mga Pilipino na tumutupad lamang ng tungkulin sa naturang karagatan. Samantala, pinuri naman ng AFP ang profesionalismo at disiplina ng kanilang mga tauhan sa BRP Emilio Jacinto na ginagampanan ang kanilang tungkuling na may integridad at kahinahunan.
Pinaiimbestigahan na ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ang ulat na may naggaganap na illegal quarrying sa Pilipinas. Ayon sa ulat, mismong buhangin mula sa baybayin ng Pilipinas na galing umano sa illegal quarrying ang ginagamit na pantambak ng China sa kanilang reclamation sa West Philippine Sea. Tiniyak din ng Malacanang na sa sandaling mayroon ng resultang investigasyon ay agad itong magpapatupad ng mga hakbang na dapat gawin para hindi magamit ang mga buhangin sa coastal areas ng Pilipinas para sa interes ng ibang bansa. Tinitingnan din ng Malacanang kung may pananagutan ang mga local government units sa nasabing illegal na gawain.
Tinildukan na ni Vice President Sara Duterte ang mga akusasyon na nagsasabing pumapanig siya sa China. Sa gitna po yan ang tensyon sa West Philippine Sea. Sa isang interview sa Kidapawan City, binigyan diin ang bise na siya ay pro-Philippines and nothing else. Ipinaliwanag ni VP Sara na nangangampanya siya para sa midterm elections at hindi niya dapat maging topic ang issue tungkol sa China. Pinasaringan rin niya ang isang mambabatas at nagpayo na mag-focus sa mga kasalukuyang problema ng bansa. Kagaya na lamang anya ng hindi pagtupad sa mga pangako sa taong bayan.
Sinampahan si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos Jr. o Bongbong Marcos ng impeachment complaint sa Office of the House Secretary General ni Duterte Youth Party List Representative Ronald Cardema Jr. Kaugnay ito sa pagpayag ng Pangulo na dalhin si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa The Hague sa the Netherlands para usigin sa kasong crimes against humanity sa International Criminal Court o ICC. Batay sa rules of impeachment proceedings ng House of Representatives sa Section 3, ang verified complaint laban sa isang impeachable official ay kailangang mayroong endorsement ng kahit isang House member at kailangan tanggapin ng Secretary General para maipasa ito sa Office of the House Speaker para sa kaukulang aksyon. Sa kabila nito, hindi pa ito opisyal na tinatanggap ng Office of the Secretary General dahil wala si Secretary Reginald Velasco sa kanyang tanggapan.
Kinumpirma ng Department of Agriculture Bureau of Animal Industry ang unang kaso ng highly pathogenic avian influenza type A subtype H5N9 sa Camarigan ng Camarines Sur. Noong April 30 po, nangolekta ng duck samples ang Animal Disease Diagnosis and Reference Laboratory kung saan nagpositibo ang mga ito sa H5N9. Kaagad namang nagpatupad ang ahensya ng 1-kilometer quarantine zone at close monitoring and disinfection para hindi na kumalat ang bird flu. Subalit, paglilinaw ng ahensya, nakakahawa lamang ang sakit sa mga ibon at hindi po sa mga tao.
Susunod, India at Pakistan patuloy pa rin ang labanan sa border.
North Korea nagpalipad ng missile.
At Chinese President Xi Jinping at Russian President Vladimir Putin nagkita sa Kremlin. Detalye ng mga balitang yan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction. It's brighter. It's hotter. The most awaited happening of your summer. It's the Summer Blast 2025. But wait, the best got better. Because it is NET25 Silver Anniversary. Let's vibe this Summer Blast together with NET25. Summer Blast 2025 is brought to you by our presenter, Clean and Fit. Our gold sponsors: Eurotel, Hotel Dream World. Silver sponsors: Pure Gold, Micaela, Top Bank, Tiki Tiki Syrup, Tiki Tiki Plus Drops, Photoism, Pure Foods Tender Juicy Hot Dog. Sponsors: J&T Express, Lux Beauty and Wellness Group, MM Royal Care Marketing Services Incorporated, De Los Santos Medical Center, and the Department of Health. Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction.
Nangako ang Pakistan ay paghihiganti nito ang 31 individual na nasawi sa airstrike na isinagawa ng India sa kanilang bansa at sa rehiyon ng Kashmir.
गुज़श्ता रात भारत ने जारियत करके जो फाश गलती की उसका खमियाजा अब उसे ज़रूर भुगतना होगा। शायद वो समझ बैठे थे कि हम पीछे हट जाएंगे, लेकिन वो ये बात भूल गए कि ये अल्लाह ताला के फजल करम से बहादुरों की कौम है जो अपने अज़्म में फुलादी है। वो बुज़दिल दुश्मन है जो नहत्ते इंसानों पर वार करके खुद को ताकतवर समझता है, लेकिन कल रात हमने साबित कर दिया कि अल्लाह ताला के फजल करम से पाकिस्तान अपने दिफा में मुंह तोड़ जवाब देना जानता है। गुज़श्ता रात
Nangako naman si Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif na tutugunan nito ang agresyong ipinakita ng Delhi sa kanilang mga kababayan. Iniulat din ng militar ng Pakistan na iilang drones na rin ng India ang kanilang pinatumba sa nagdaang 24 oras.
ये जो पिछले दिन गुजरे हैं, हर रोज इत्तला मिलती थी कि आज हिंदुस्तान के जहाज आएंगे और वो पाकिस्तान पर हमलावर होंगे। मैं आपको अल्लाह ताला के फजल करम से और दिल की अथाह गहराइयों से आपको और आपकी दोस्त से पूरे इस मौजूद ऐवान को और पाकिस्तान के 24 करोड़ अवाम को मुबारकबाद पेश करना चाहता हूं कि हमारी अफवाज पाकिस्तान 24 घंटे तैयार थी कि कब दुश्मन के जहाज उड़े, कब उनको हम उठा के समंदर में फेंक दें। दिन रात मुशावरत की उन्होंने और प्लानिंग की। मैं तफसील में नहीं जान चाहता। ये 5 जहाज जो ऊंधे मुंह गिराए हमारे शाहीनों ने, ये 5 के बजाय शायद 10 हो जाते, लेकिन एहतियात से काम लिया हमारे हवाबाजों ने, हमारे शाहीनों ने।
Ito na ang pinakamalaking tugon ng India sa Pakistan matapos ang ilang dekadang pagtaas ng tensyon dulot ng pagmamay-ari ng teritoryo ng Kashmir at iilang issue. Ang pag-atake ng India ay maiuugnay sa naganap na terror attack sa Pahalgam, Kashmir na ikinasawi ng ilang Indian tourists. Sa panig naman ng New Delhi ay sinabi ng Indian government na sa harap ng liga ng mga foreign envoys nito na kung sumagot ang Pakistan ay handa naman ang Indiang rumisponde.
भारत ने अपनी सरजमी पर हुए हमले का जवाब देने के लिए अपने राइट टू रेस्पॉन्ड का इस्तेमाल किया है और हमारी यह कार्रवाई बेहद सोच समझकर सधे हुए तरीके से की गई है। आतंकियों के हौसले पस्त करने के उद्देश्य से यह कार्रवाई महज उनके कैंप्स और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तक ही सीमित रखी गई है। मैं पुनः हमारे आर्म्ड फोर्सेस के शौर्य को मैं नमन करता हूं।
Nagpalipad po ang North Korea ng ilang short-range ballistic missiles upang subukan ang panibagong weapon systems ng kanilang warship.
브리프는 오늘 08시 10분경부터 09시 20분경까지 북한 원산 일대에서 동해상으로 발사된 다양한 종류의 단거리 탄도미사일 수발을 포착하였습니다. 북한의 미사일은 최대 800km를 비행한 후 동해상에 탄착되었습니다. 배경이나 의도에 대해서는 분석하고 있습니다. 그러나 일부 수출을 하기 위한 성능 점검이나 또 비행 안정성을 평가하기 위한 실험일 수도 있다고 평가하고 있습니다.
Ayon sa Joint Chiefs of Staff ng South Korea, na-detect ng kanilang military surveillance ang ilang projectiles na lumipad malapit sa kanilang area of responsibility noong Huwebes ng umaga. Lumipad po ang mga naturang missile mula sa Wonsan area ng North Korea papunta sa bandang silangang bahagi ng Sea of Japan. Ito ang unang missile test na isinagawa ng Pyongyang simula noong ipakita nito sa mundo ang kanilang bagong warship noong nakaraang buwan. Base naman sa mga eksperto, posibleng nagkakarga dito na sa destroyer-class ship ng North Korean military ang iilang short-range tactical nuclear missiles na pinagtulungan nila ng Russia na ma-develop. Hindi naman nagatubili ang parehas na kampo ng South Korea at ng Japan sa agresibong aksyon ng Pyongyang na nagdudulot ng destabilisasyon sa kanilang rehiyon.
北朝鮮は本日8時台から9時台にかけまして北朝鮮東岸付近から複数発の弾道ミサイルを北東方向に向けて発射をいたしました。詳細については現在日米韓で緊密に連携して分析中でございますが、発射された弾道ミサイルのうち1発は本日9時20分ごろ発射をされ、最高高度約 100km 程度で約 800km 程度飛翔しました。落下したのは朝鮮半島東の日本海であり、我が国の排他的経済水域外であると推定をしております。また当該弾頭ミサイルは変則軌道で飛翔した可能性があり、引き続き分析中であります。これまでの弾道ミサイル等の度重なる発射も含め、一連の北朝鮮の行動は我が国の地域及び国際社会の平和と安全を脅かすものであります。またこのような弾道ミサイル発射は関連する安保理決議に違反し、国民の安全に関わる重大な問題であります。今回の発射については我が国として北朝鮮に対し、北京の大使館ルートを通じて厳重に抗議し、強く非難したところでございます。
Malugod na tinanggap ni Russian President Vladimir Putin si Chinese President Xi Jinping sa Kremlin para magsagawa ng bilateral talks. Ang pagbisita ni Xi sa Kremlin ay bahagi ng kanyang 4-day state visit sa Moscow para mas palakasin pa ang ugnayan ng China sa Russia. Inaasahan na tatalakayin ng dalawang lider ang mga usapin ukol sa kasalukuyang direksyon ng giyera sa Ukraine at sa iba pang aspeto ng kanilang kooperasyon. Dadalo rin si Xi sa selebrasyon ng Moscow para gunitain ang ika-88 anibersaryo ng pagtatapos ng World War II. Ang China ay tinuturing na pinakamalaking trading partner ng Moscow, partikular na bilang biggest buyer ng Russian oil and gas products.
Nanindigan ng Ukraine sa alok nitong ipatupad ang 30 araw na tigil-putukan sa laban nito sa Russia. Ito po ay kahit na walang tugon ng Kremlin sa mungkahing ceasefire ng Kyiv. Catherine Gao para sa balita niyan.
Noong Miyerkules, sinabi ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky na naninindigan ng kanyang bansa sa alok nitong 30-day ceasefire sa tunggalian nito sa Russia. Sa kabila ng kawalang tugon ng Kremlin, tinanggihan ng isang tagapagsalita ng Russian Foreign Ministry ang anumang pasaring na hinaharangan ng Moscow ang mga hakbang para sa tigil-putukan. Ang mga pahayag na ito ay 3 oras bago ang 3 araw na ceasefire proposal naman ng Russia na ipatutupad sa anibersaryo ng tagumpay laban sa Germany noong World War II.
І абсолютно справедливо, що російське небо агресора сьогодні дзеркально теж неспокійно. Україна і наша пропозиція припинити удари, припинити вогонь, щонайменше на 30 діб залишається в силі. Ми не знімаємо цю пропозицію, яка може дати шанс дипломатії. Але саме від Росії світ не бачить відповіді. Жодної відповіді, крім нових ударів. Це максимально чітко, очевидно для всіх демонструє, хто джерело війни.
Tila inako rin ni Zelensky ang ilang drone attacks na tumatarget sa Russian sites.
Сьогодні також була доповідь главкома Сирського щодо наших активних дій на території Курської та Білгородської областей. Ми захищаємо українську землю від ворожої активності в прикордонні. Я хочу подякувати сьогодні кожному підрозділу, всім нашим солдатам, всім нашим сержантам і командирам. Дякую вам всім за стійкість та реальну силу, яка так потрібна Україні.
Noong Marso, nagmungkahi ang US ng 30-day ceasefire na sinang-ayunan ng Ukraine. Kathleen Gao para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Sinabi ni former US President Joe Biden na isang modern-day appeasement o pagpapatahimik ang umano'y paggigipit ng kanyang kahalili na si Donald Trump sa Ukraine. Ayon kay Biden, pinepressure raw ni Trump ang Ukraine na isuko nito ang teritoryo sa Russia. Iginiit ng dating Washington leader na naniniwala si Russian President Vladimir Putin na bahagi ng Mother Russia ang Ukraine at sino mang nag-iisip na titigil siya ay hangal daw.
Let's turn to Ukraine, can we? Because you compared the war in Ukraine with the Second World War. President Trump is now saying, look, if you want peace, Ukraine is going to have to give up some territory. Some people think that is common sense to say that. Do you think it's not common sense? It's perhaps modern-day appeasement?
It is modern-day appeasement. Look, listen to what Putin said when he talked about going from Kyiv into Ukraine and why. He can't stand the fact that the Russian dictatorship that he runs, that the Soviet Union has collapsed. And anybody thinks he's going to stop is just foolish.
Nilagdaan ni Russian President Vladimir Putin at Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro ang isang strategic partnership agreement sa Moscow. Hindi nagbigay ng detalye ng nasabing kasunduan si Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov. Subalit, tinawag itong isang strategic agreement ang ginawa ng Russia at ng Venezuela. Pagkatapos nagdaan ng dalawang leader ang kanilang kasunduan ay tinalakay naman nila ang isyu ng enerhiya at ng langis. Nagkasundo silang magkaroon ng joint exploration and development ng bagong langis at gas fields. Palalawigin din ng Moscow at Caracas ang kanilang oil trading operations.
Pumunta si Prince Harry sa London para daluhan ang pagdinig sa kasong isinampa niya laban sa publisher ng Daily Mail. Si Judel Alipio para sa report.
Ilang araw matapos matalo si Prince Harry sa kanyang apela laban sa Robotic, ay muli siyang bumalik sa korte kasama ang kanyang mga abogado. Sinampahan nila ng kasong unlawful behavior at unlawful gathering of private information ang Associated Newspapers o ANL, publisher ng Daily Mail. Sa loob nila ng 30 taon ay nakagawa ng serious privacy breaches ang ANL. Kabilang narito ang umano'y pagtap sa kanilang mga telepono, bugging o illegal na pakikinig sa kanilang mga tahanan at pagkuha ng medical records sa pamamagitan ng paglilinlang. Sangkot nila sa kasong ito ang kasalukuyang mga editor ng pambansang pahayagan at iba pang mga senior press figure. Kasama rin sa mga nagsampa ng kaso sina Elton John, Sadie Frost, Elizabeth Hurley, Simon Highest at Doreen Lawrence. Itinanggi ng ANL ang mga akusasyon ng grupo at sinabing walang kabuluhan ang kanilang mga aligasyon. Sinabi ni Attorney David Sherborne, legal representative ni Harry, na nakapokus ang 2-day hearing ng korte sa mga issue na may kaugnayan sa pagsisiwalat ng karagdagang material bago ang full-blown trial na mangyayari sa susunod na taon. Judel Alipio para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Binalot naman ng pagkabahala ang mga taga-London na may dugo o lahing Indian o Pakistani. Ito po ay dahil sa tumataas ang tensyon sa pagitan ng Pakistan at India, bunsod pa rin ng Kashmir tragedy. Ang dalawang bansa ay parehong may nuclear arms. Mula po sa London, England, narito ang balita mula kay Love and Season.
Noong Miyerkules, inatake ng India ang Pakistan gamit ang missiles, samantalang sinabi naman ng Pakistan na pinasabog nito ang 5 Indian aircraft at nangakong gaganti. Dito sa London, marami ang naninirahan na may kaugnayan sa dalawang bansa. Nagpahayag ang mga ito ng pagkabahala, ng takot sa posibilidad na paglala ng tensyon. Ayon kay Londoner Mitali Patel na may lahing Indiano, natupok siya ng pagkadismaya sa nangyaring pag-atake ng Pakistan.
Pakistan did very wrong with the Indian people. It's a best tourist place for us. It's a heaven, like a Kashmir is the heaven for us. So the way they did, it's really wrong. I literally hurted. I was planning to go there since long time, but now I feel like I should not go there.
Umasa naman si Anjana Gohil na may lahing Indiano rin na magkasundo na ang dalawang panig.
They need to come to some decision and come to some kind of peace and come to some kind of agreement and move forward. And war is not the answer to make things resolve. So that's how I feel.
Samantala, para naman kay Londoner Mohammed Iqbal na may lahing Pakistani, ang mga tao ang magdurusa sa labanang nagaganap.
War is going on all over the world, in Middle East, in other part of the world, and why they started it for? What they want to get out? India will still be there, Pakistan will still be there, people will die.
Love and Season, London, England. Para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Ayon sa ulat ng isang lokal na pahayagan sa Germany, tatanggihan ng Berlin ang mga migranteng papasok sa kanilang border na wala namang hawak na dokumento. Si JC Yumul para sa balita.
Nag-issue ng orders ang bagong German Interior Minister na si Alexander Dobrindt na tanggihan ang mga undocumented migrants na nagpipilit pumasok sa bansa. Ayon sa ulat ng isang pahayagan doon, sinasabing nais din ni Dobrindt na mag-deploy ng libu-libong pulis sa mga border ng bansa. Dagdag pa ng pahayagan, sa unang araw ng bagong administrasyon ni migration hardliner Friedrich Merz, binawi ni Dobrindt ang pagpapasok sa undocumented third country nationals na sinimulan noong 2015. Kasama sa report ang sinasabing mga plano ni Dobrindt na pagdaragdag ng mga 3,000 pulis sa 11,000 na nasa border na ng bansa. Ito ay ayon sa layunin supilin ang pagdaloy ng irregular migration. Ang binawing 2015 order ay pinagtibay noong termino ni dating Chancellor Angela Merkel. Ang pamumuno ni Merkel ay nang dumating ang daang-daang libong asylum seekers sa Germany. Karamihan ay tumatakas sa kaguluhan sa Syria. Kasama sa plataporma ni Merz ang pangakong supilin ang migration. Nagkasundo rin ang kolaksyon nito na tanggihan ang asylum seekers sa borders. Magsasagawa ng mga deportasyon pabalik sa Syria at sususpendihin ang pagsasamang muli ng mga pamilya. JC Yumol para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Inanunsyo po ni U.S. President Donald Trump na ititigil na ng Estados Unidos ang mga pangbobomba laban sa militanteng grupo na Houthi na nasa Yemen.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that.
Ito ang pahayag ni Trump matapos ang halos 21 araw na sunod-sunod na pambobomba ng Estados Unidos sa rehiyon tugon sa serye ng pang-atake ng mga rebeldeng grupo sa mga barkong naglalayag sa Red Sea. Ayon pa po kay Trump, hindi raw lalaban ang rebeldeng grupo kapalit ng kapayapaan sa kanilang rehiyon. Gayunman, wala pa malinaw na detalye ang inilabas ng US Defense Department kaugnay ng biglaang pagbabago ng sa kanilang estratehiya. Ayon sa mga opisyal, mahigit 1,000 target na ang tinamaan ng operasyon, kabilang ang mga kampo, bodega ng armas at maging mga missiles na militanteng grupo. Samantala, hindi rin nilinaw ni Trump kung saklaw ng kasunduan ang patuloy na engkwentro sa pagitan ng Houthi at ng Israel. Kamakailan lamang ay nang bomba ang militanteng grupo sa paliparan ng Israel.
No, it's not a deal. They've said, please don't bomb us anymore, and we're not going to attack your ships.
Where did you hear about that?
It doesn't matter where I hear it. The very good source, I could tell you. Very, very good source. Would you say, Marco? I would say pretty good, right, JD? A very good source. No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. They don't want to be bombed anymore. You know, I sort of thought that would happen.
Bago naman ito nagtapos, ay sinabi ni Trump na may importanteng i-aanunsyo ang kanyang opisina bago siya umalis papunta sa Middle East sa mga susunod na araw.
We're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject.
Plano ni US President Donald Trump na palitan ang pangalan ng Persian Gulf sa Arabian Gulf o Gulf of Arabia. Ilang taon na rin kinikilala ng Estados Unidos ang katubigan bilang Persian Gulf sa mga anunsyo at imahe nitong inilalabas. Ngunit ayon sa mga tauhan sa White House ay pinaplano niyang i-anunsyo ito habang isinasagawa ang kanyang Saudi Arabian tour sa susunod na linggo. Matagal nang umaapela ang mga Arab nations na mapalitan ang pangalan ng katubigang ito sa kabila ng patuloy na pagkontrol ng Iran sa naturang parte ng Middle East. Sa ilang okasyon na rin nagbanta ang Iran na kakasuhan ang mga kumpanyang kumikilala sa Persian Gulf sa ibang pangalan. Sa Google Maps ay nakapangalan ito bilang Persian Gulf, Arabian Gulf, habang sa Apple Maps naman ay tinatawag lang itong Persian Gulf. Kinikilala ang katubigan bilang Persian Gulf simula pa noong ika-16 na siglo, ngunit pinipilit ng ibang Gulf states na tawagin itong Gulf of Arabia o Arabian Gulf dahil sa relasyon ng Persian Gulf sa Iran na dating kinilala bilang Persia.
Nagpalabas naman po ng demolition order ang Israeli Army para sa mga bahay sa West Bank. At dahil dyan, nilisan ng mga residente ng Nur Shams refugee camp sa Tulkarm Bitbit ang kanilang mga natitirang pag-aari. Ang Tulkarm po ay nasa West Bank na okupado na ng Israel. Alamin natin ang report mula kay Bernhard Gonzaga.
Ito ang 12 taong gulang na si Minatullah Riyadh. Tinatanaw niya ang kampo at pinapanood ang pag-iba sa mga bahay na tinutuluyan ng mga katulad niyang inilikas dahil sa labanan sa pagitan ng Israel at Hamas. Habang nangingilid ang luha sa kanyang mga mata, sinabi ni Riyadh kung gaanong kabigat panoorin ang pagguho ng kanyang dating tahanan.
فيش حدا كائن اي حدا حي حتى لو حيوان ما بيقدر يستحمل يشوف داره قدام عينه بتنهدم. هدموا 8 بيوت منا ودار عمي كلهم ودارنا ودار سيدي ودار عمتي قرايبنا كلهم فيش دار إلهم صايره بالمخيم كلياتهم انهدم.
Bago magsimula ang mga demolisyon, binitbit ng mga residente ng kampo ang kani-kanilang mga gamit at nilisan ang lugar. Ayon sa official Palestinian news agency WAFA, nagpalabas ang Persang Israel ng demolition orders para sa higit 100 mga bahay at gusali sa Tulkarem at Nur Shams refugee camps. Ang mga ito ay nasa hilagang bahagi ng occupied West Bank. Ayon sa report, ibinigay ng Israel ang mga abiso sa Palestinian Coordination and Liaison Office. Kasama sa mga abiso ay mga mapa na may markang pula sa tina-target ng mga bahay. Ayon sa Israeli Army, ginawang pugad ng terrorist activity ang refugee camps at sinasabing doon nag-oopera ang mga terorista na humahalo sa mga sibilyan. Ang demolition anya ay upang makagawa ng mga daan para sa mga sundalo at upang maiwasang ibalik ang galawang terorista sa lugar. Bernhard Gonzaga para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Pagsasamahin na ng Estados Unidos ang mga tanggapan ng Palestinian Affairs at ang embahada nito sa Jerusalem. Emmy Kapilita Roja para sa balita.
Nagdesisyon si U.S. State Secretary Marco Rubio na isama ang tanggapang namamahala sa relasyon ng Washington sa Palestine sa embahada ng Estados Unidos na nasa Jerusalem. Noong Martes, sinabi ni State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce na ibabalik ng desisyong ito ang balangkas ng pinag-isang diplomatic mission sa kabisera ng Israel na nagre-report sa embahador ng U.S. sa Israel. Ang balangkas na ito ay mula sa unang termino ni Donald Trump bilang Pangulo ng US. Dagdag ni Bruce, magre-report na mula ngayon ang US Office of Palestinian Affairs kay US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee. Ito anya ay imi-merge sa ibang sangay ng main embassy sa Israel sa mga darating na linggo.
Now, in another important announcement, Secretary Rubio has decided to merge the responsibilities of the Office of the Palestinian Affairs Office fully into other sections of the United States Embassy in Jerusalem. This decision will restore the first Trump term framework of a unified U.S. diplomatic mission in Israel's capital that reports to the U.S. Ambassador to Israel. Ambassador Huckabee will take the steps necessary to implement the merger over the coming weeks.
Ayon pa kay Bruce, nananatiling tapat ang US sa makasaysayang relasyon nito sa Israel sa pagpapatibay ng seguridad nito at sa pagtiyak sa kapayapaan para sa mas mabuting buhay sa buong rehiyon. Emmy Kapilita Roja para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, university staff sa Poland patay matapos palakulin.
Apple at Mitsubishi magkakaroon ng major partnership.
At former U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris may rare public appearance. Mga detalye po na mga balita niyan at iba pa mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction.
Ang mga maiinit na balita at rumaratsyad ng usapan ng bayan, ihahatid namin sa 100%! 100% ang pagbabalita! 100% talakayan! Lunes hanggang Biyernes! Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga! Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila! At sa NET25 100%!
Sa NET25, let's net together. Sa NET25.
Sa kasulukuyang henerasyon, marami na ang nag-viral. Dahil po yan sa kanilang ginagawang pagtulong sa kapwa. Pero mas marami ang tumutulong kahit walang nakakakita. Kaya naman kung ikaw ay may kilala na grupo o individual na may natatanging pagresponde sa lipunan at maging sa kalikasan, mag-text lamang sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com at magpadala ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page at NET25 TV. Baka kayo na ang susunod nating Certified Key Responder.
Let's net together. Sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Nagbabalik ang mata ng Agila International sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Dinala sa pagamutan ang 3 fans ng Paris Saint-Germain FC matapos araruhin ng mga ito ng isang sasakyan sa gitna ng victory party nila sa Paris, France. Nagwagi kasi ang Paris Saint-Germain sa laban nito sa Arsenal FC na naging daan nito para makapasok sa Champions League final sa score na 2-1. Maraming Arsenal fans ang nadismaya at nagkagulo muna sa pagkatalo ng kanilang sinusuportahang kupunan. Napaulat din na sinunog ang sasakyang ginamit sa insidente habang umiiral ang riot sa syudad. Inaresto naman ng Paris Police ang higit sa 40 katao kaugnay sa hidwaan ng mga fans ng dalawang kupunan.
Arestado ang isang 22-year-old third-year law student matapos kanyang pugutan ng ulo ang isang Warsaw University staff sa Poland. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, natagpuan sa crime scene ang isang palakol na pinaniniwala ang ginamit sa pagpatay sa biktima. Critical naman ang lagay ng isang security guard na nakasagupa sa attacker matapos pumasok nito sa campus. Batay sa investigasyon ng Polish police, pinasok ng sospek ang auditorium saka hinintay na dumating ang kanyang biktima.
Sugatan ang mag-iina sa Shandong, China matapos maatrasan ng isang kotse habang bumabiyahe sila sakay ng electric scooter. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, mabilis ang pagpapatakbo ng kotse kaya nang tumama ang kotse sa scooter ay tumilapon ang mag-iina. Mapapansin ding walang suot na helmet ang tatlo kaya grabe ang pinsala na tinamo ng mga ito. Umani naman ang iba't ibang reaksyon ang video mula sa mga netizens kung saan kanilang ipinupunto ang kahalagahan ng pagsusuot ng safety gear at disiplinadong pagmamaneho sa kalsada.
Nakaiwas naman sa bingit ng kamatayan ng isang construction worker sa Guangxi, China matapos biglang magliyab ang sinasakyan nitong truck. Sa pool sa dashcam footage ang ilang sandali ng paggapang ng kuryente sa likurang bahagi ng truck. Butit mabilis na napansin ito ng construction worker at hindi nag-atubiling tumalon mula sa driver's seat. Mapapansin din na kusang umandar ang truck bago ito tuluyang nabalot ng apoy. Batay sa investigasyon ng pulisya, sumabit ang container ng truck sa isang live wire habang nakaparada ito sa kalsada. Hindi naman nasaktan ang ibang mga trabahador na nasa tabi ng truck nang maganap ang insidente.
Pinagmulta ng isang korte sa Kenya ang 4 na ant-traffickers ng $30,800 or that's $7,700 bawat isa. Ito po ay matapos magtangka ang mga suspect na ipuslit ang 5,440 giant African harvester ant queens palabas ng Kenya. Nagkakalaga po kasi ito ng higit kumulang 1.2 million Kenyan shillings or $9,300. Subalit ayon naman sa prosecution, posibleng umabot sa $1 million ang presyo ng mga langgam kung makararating ang mga ito sa Europa. Para obserbahan ang mga langgam, nilalagay ng mga European ant keepers ang mga langgam sa malalaking transparent na sisidlan na kung tawagin ay formicariums. Ayon sa wildlife experts, hindi malalaking hayop kagaya ng elepante ang pinupuslit ng mga animal traffickers dahil nauuso na nila ang biopiracy sa mga maliliit na species kagaya nga ng mga langgam. Kung hindi kayang bayaran ng mga suspect ang nasabing multa, ay maaari silang makulong ng 12 buwan.
Inanunsyo ng Ørsted na kanselado na ang malaking wind farm project nito sa Britain. Sinisi ng kumpanya ang bumababang global business environment para sa pag-develop ng renewable energy. Sumadsad pababa ang market value ng Ørsted habang tumataas naman ang mga gastusin nito. Humina rin ang kumpiyansa ng mga investors dahil sa pagtutol ni US President Donald Trump sa offshore wind. Pero kahit hindi pa nakababalik sa White House si Trump, ay nakaranas na ng delay at impairment charges ang Ørsted.
Inanunsyo po ng Foxconn ang planong pag-produce ng electric vehicles para sa Mitsubishi Motors. Sa agreement in principle ng iPhone maker at ng Japanese car giant, ang Foxconn ang magdidisenyo ng mga sasakyan sa kanilang Taiwan factory naman gagawin. Target nilang ilabas ang bagong model ng Mitsubishi electric vehicle sa katapusan ng taong 2026.
In-update ng China ang next-gen firefighting robots nito. Bukod sa rapid laser scanning system nito na kayang mag-transmit ng high-definition live footage ng real-time, dinagdagan ng kumpanyang Unit 3 ang iba pang advanced features ang kanilang robo-firefighter dogs. Kaya ng akyatin ng isang robo-dog ang 40 cm high na hagdan o obstacle kaya perfect itong gamitin sa mga terrain. May drencher cooling system din ito kaya nakalalapit at nakapagsusuot ito o nakasusuot ito sa mga nagngangalit na apoy at usok. Mas pinalakas din ang water cannon ng robo-dog dahil nasa 40 liters per second ang water flow rate nito. Naglalabas din ito ng foam na may taas na 60 meters kaya mas madali nitong maaapula ang sunog. Malaking tulong ang mga robot sa mga bumbero ng China dahil nagagamit din nila ito sa rescue operations. Nababawasan din na manganib ang buhay ng mga bumbero sa tuwing may sunog sa China. Makakasama ni Filipina tennis star Alex Agila sa doubles ng Italian Open si world number 3 Coco Gauff. Makahaharap ng dalawa sina Russian tennis player Alexandra Panova at Fanny Stoller ng Hungary sa round 32 ng torneo. Itinuturing ni Agila na isang kakaibang experience ang nasabing pagkakasama niya sa isang court kay Gauff. Noong junior level pa si Agila ay nagwagi na ito ng doubles sa 2020 Australian Open at 2021 French Open. Habang ang 21-year-old na si Gauff ay naging world number 1 sa doubles at nagogi ng 2024 French Open kasama si Katerina Saniakova ng Czech Republic.
Umarap naman po sa hurado ang kilalang hip-hop mogul na si Sean Diddy Combs sa New York. Naharap siya sa mga kasong sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy at pagtransport ng mga prostitusyon. Mga kasong maaaring magresulta sa panghabang buhay na pagkakakulong kung mapatutunayang nagkasala ito. Ang mga kaso ay nagsimula matapos magsampa ng civil suit ang dating kasintahan niyang si Cassandra Cassie Ventura noong November 2023 na sinundan ng higit 50 na iba pang demanda. Bagamat naayos na ang kaso ni Ventura sa hindi isinawalat na halaga na pagpiyansa ay tuloy ang pag-usig sa kanya ng federal government. Ayon sa mga dokumento, ginamit ni Combs ang kanyang negosyo para pilitin ang mga babaeng sumali umano sa mga tinatawag niyang freak-offs. Itinanggi ito ng kampo ni Combs at sinabing wala siyang partisipasyon sa pagpaplano ng mga naturang aktibidad. Kung mapatutunayan nagkasala, maaaring makulong ang dating rapper ng hindi bababa sa 15 taon at posibleng habang buhay.
Sorpresang dumalo sa Met Gala sa New York si dating US Vice President Kamala Harris. Kasama nitong dumalo sa nasabing show ang asawa niyang si Doug Emhoff. Hindi na sila dumaan sa red carpet kung saan suot ng dating Vice President ang black and white gown mula sa Off-White. Personal na inimbitahan siya ni Vogue Editor-in-Chief at Met Gala Co-Chair Anna Wintour. Ito ang kanyang kauna-unahang pagdalo sa Met Gala at mangilan-ngilan na pagdalo sa ilang kaganapan mula nang matalo ito sa pagkapangulo noong nakaraang taon. Susunod, Disney magbubukas ng bagong theme park?
Puting nakiski sa Russia.
Abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng NET25 World News. At magbabalik pa po ang mata ng Agila International.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction. Matapang at mapanuring komentaryo.
70 to 80% of our Congress is political dynasty. So paano naman yan magkakaroon ng checks and balance? Ikaw yung congressman, yung asawa mo yung mayor.
Balita at impormasyon, detalyado at makabuluhan. Hihimayin para sa mas malalim na talakayan. Samahan ng mga batikang komentarista. Ali Soto.
This is for him to have his day in court, di ba, Senator? Alam mo naman yan, nag-aral ka din ng batas.
At Pat P. Daza.
Yung mga ganitong pagsasalita ng China, yan ba'y dapat ikabahala natin? Dapat ba natin ikatakutan?
ASPN. Ano sa palagay nyo? Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga sa NET25.
Slam dunk kwentuhan tayo ngayong linggo kasama ang MVP sa basketball na si Benji Paras. Bago pa siya maka 3 points sa kanyang career, grabe na ang pag-dribble sa kanya ng buhay. Sobrang nahirapan habang lumalaki. Siksikan sa apartment na tinitirhan. Hagdanan ng kanilang dining table. Tinutulungan ng coach at mga kaklase para makaraos lang sa pag-aaral. Paano siya naging star player? At paano nakapasok naman at naging sikat bilang komedyante sa showbiz? Ang playoff ng buhay ni Benji at marami pang iba dito lang sa Corina Interviews ngayong linggo, 6 p.m. sa NET25.
Together sa NET25.
Nagpahayag naman ng samut-saring opinyon ang ilang mga pasahero sa Estados Unidos na wala pang real ID. Requirement na kasi ngayon para sa air travelers sa US ang magpakita ng real ID o iba pang acceptable identification upang makabiyahe. Alamin po natin mula kay Leo Velasco ang mga karagdagang detalye.
Itong Miyerkules, opisyal nang sinimula ng pagpapatupad ng pagpapakita ng real ID compliant driver's license o iba pang maaaring gamiting ID upang makasakay ng domestic flights at upang makapasok sa federal facilities. Tulad ng maraming paliparan sa bansa, dito sa Newark Liberty International Airport sa New Jersey, maraming biyahero at biyahera ang nadismaya dahil hindi sapat ang ID na kanilang dala. Ayon kay Diane Lawyer na papunta sa ng Florida, nahirapan siyang makakuha ng real ID. Buti na lamang at may passport ito.
No, I can't get my real ID. I've tried and tried and tried, but there's absolutely no openings anywhere in the state of New Jersey. For the last month or so, I've been trying, but I do have a passport.
Para naman sa biyaherong si Greg, wala siyang balak kumuha ng real ID.
Not planning to. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's an invasion of people's privacy. We should have free ability to travel. It's a basic human right.
Nag-aalala naman si Maureen Capuzzi para sa mga kilalang walang pasaporte at wala ring real ID.
The real ID, I'm very sorry. I couldn't get an appointment, so I'm traveling with my passport is valid. And I say my old driver's license, but it's still valid for driving. And any of my friends that tried to get the appointments, they couldn't get the appointments. I don't know how they're going to manage because they don't have passports. I think they're going to have a problem when they get here.
Ayon kay Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, simula 7 ng Mayo, ang air travelers na walang enhanced ID cards ay maaaring humarap sa mas masalimot na security procedures, subalit hindi anya ito aalisan ng access sa mga paglipad. Simula rin ngayong Miyerkules, hindi natatanggapin ng Transportation Security Administration o TSA ang anumang state-issued identifications na hindi real ID compliant. Dagdag ni Noem, ngayong linggo, 19 na estado ang nag-issue ng driver licenses sa immigrants na hindi legal ang pananatili sa US. Dahil diyan, ipapatupad ng real ID ang pagharang sa mga individual na makabiyahe sa ere. Noong Abril, nagbabala ang TSA na maaaring harangang makalipad ang mga pasahero kung walang enhanced IDs. Leo Velasco para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Inanunsyo ng Disney ang balak nilang magpatayo ng isang theme park sa Abu Dhabi. Kung matapos ito, ay itong magiging 13th Disney park in the world at ang una na matatagpuan sa Middle East. Nakatakdang Mirala Group sa pagpapatayo, pagpapatakbo at pamamalakad ng theme park. Tinitignan ng Yas Island na isang prominenteng tourist hub sa United Arab Emirates sa UAE bilang magiging lokasyon ng naturang theme park kung saan magiging kakumpetensya nito ang Ferrari World, Warner Brothers World at SeaWorld. Ang huling itinayong major Disney park ay ang Shanghai Disney Resort kung saan nagbukas ito sa publiko taong 2016.
Nag-enjoy naman kasama ng kanyang fur parent ang isang Bengal mixed cat sa isang parachute skiing adventure in Russia. Ayon kay Ivan Kuznetsov, ang fur parent ni Thought, sila ay naggala sa Kribanovka Ski Resort para maranasan ang high-flying stunt na ino-offer nito bilang hobby ni Ivan. Nagsimula ang adventures ng dalawa sa nagyayelong slope ng resort para mag-ski. Mula sa video ni Ivan, makikitang nakasit it sa isang pouch si Thought habang suot ang cute na mini helmet. Sa simula ay natatakot ang 7-month-old cat sa unti-unting pagbaba nila sa slope, subalit na nag-glide na sila sa gitna ng kanilang trip ay nasiyahan na rin ito. Natapos naman ang kanilang paragliding experience sa isang perfect landing sa paanan ng bundok. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi, ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa NET25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Wiki. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. Tensions between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan have reached a dangerous new level. India has launched missile strikes inside Pakistan, saying they targeted militant infrastructure linked to a deadly attack on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir last month. Now, Pakistan is furious, reporting that at least 26 civilians were killed and vowing to retaliate. Pakistan have gone further, claiming to have shot down 12 Indian drones that violated their airspace.
Pakistan Armed Forces, being in a high state of alert and vigilance, have so far neutralized 12 Harab drones at various locations.
And the news starts now. Tensions between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan have reached a dangerous new level. India has launched missile strikes inside Pakistan, saying they targeted militant infrastructure linked to a deadly attack on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir last month. Now, Pakistan is furious, reporting that at least 26 civilians were killed and vowing to retaliate.
Our intelligence monitoring of Pakistan-based terrorist modules indicated that further attacks against India were impending. There was thus a compulsion both to deter and to preempt. Earlier this morning, as you would be aware, India exercised its right to respond and preempt as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible. They focused on dismantling the terrorist infrastructure and disabling terrorists likely to be sent across to India.
At 6 locations where the Indians attacked last night, unprovoked, the blatant aggression that they did, Pakistan has lost 26 civilians and 46 are injured. After they have released their weapons, only after that they were engaged and shot at once they have taken on the unprovoked, uncalled for aggression against the state, the territorial integrity, and the innocent people of Pakistan by firing at them through standoff weapons, only after that, Pakistan Air Force and these armed forces engaged them and took them down. Pakistan reserves the right and will respond to this aggression at a time, place, and means of our own choice.
India is a cowardly enemy that believes it is powerful by targeting innocent people. But last night, we showed that, by the grace and mercy of God Almighty, Pakistan knows how to deliver a fitting response in its defense.
Pakistan have gone further, claiming to have shot down 12 Indian drones that violated their airspace, including near major cities like Karachi and Lahore.
Last night, that is the night of 7th and 8th May, India has undertaken yet another blatant military act of aggression against Pakistan by sending Harap drones at multiple locations. Pakistan Armed Forces, being in a high state of alert and vigilance, have so far neutralized 12 Harap drones at various locations.
Meanwhile, the situation is causing significant disruption, with airports in northern India reportedly shutting down amid these escalating hostilities along the border with Pakistan. Tensions flared again in the West Philippine Sea, with the Philippines and China offering very different accounts of a recent maritime incident near the contested Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine military reported that a routine Navy patrol encountered aggressive and unsafe actions from 2 Chinese Navy ships earlier this week. However, China's military is painting a completely different picture. They're accusing the Philippine vessel of attempting to invade the waters around the shoal. They say they deployed their own naval and air forces to track and force the Philippine ship out. The Scarborough Shoal, a key and highly disputed area in the South China Sea, has long been a flashpoint for sovereignty and fishing rights issues. The Philippine military emphasized that such threatening and provocative conduct could lead to dangerous misunderstandings and destabilize the region. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, a claim that overlaps with the territories of several other Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines. Breaking election news out of Pasig City, the COMELEC 2nd Division has disqualified Christian de Guzman Sia from running for congressman. Now, this decision, in a 10-page resolution released today, cites violations of the poll body's anti-discrimination and fair campaigning guidelines. Take a look. The 2nd Division, chaired by Commissioner Ray E. Bulay, with Commissioners Nelson J. Celis and Nolly R. People, found Sia liable for violating COMELEC resolutions 1116 and 11127, as well as Section 261 of the Omnibus Election Code. The disqualification stemmed from a petition filed by the COMELEC Task Force on Safeguarding Against Fear and Exclusion in Elections, or Task Force SAFE, headed by Director Sonia Bea Lozada. They pointed to 2 separate instances where Sia made offensive remarks. The COMELEC resolution stated that Sia's public comments directed at solo parents were sexually suggestive, objectifying, and degrading. They also cited a campaign rally where Sia made comments about a female staff member's physical appearance. The COMELEC said these acts violated Section 261E of the Omnibus Election Code, which penalizes acts that harm a person's honor, and COMELEC Resolution 11116, which prohibits discriminatory and sexist language. Sia argued that COMELEC Resolution 11116 was unconstitutional, claiming the COMELEC's power is limited to election-related laws. Despite the disqualification, the COMELEC also said that if Sia wins the election, his proclamation will be suspended pending further appeals. He still has the option to appeal the decision to the COMELEC and Bank or the Supreme Court. The Commission on Elections and Bank has upheld the disqualification of the Pilipinas Babangon Muli or PBBM party list, affirming the earlier decision by its second division. The party list, which shares the acronym with President Marcos Jr., was found to have misrepresented itself as a regional party, representing Calabarzon while fielding nominees from outside the region, including Abra, Cagayan, and Quezon City. This misrepresentation violates the Party List System Act or Republic Act number 7941, which requires regional parties to have nominees from their constituency. The COMELEC emphasized that the inclusion of nominees from outside Calabarzon contradicted the party list claim of regional representation, leading to the cancellation of its registration for the 2025 elections. Good news and a little bit of a reality check on the Philippine economy. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported today that our economy grew by 5.4% in the first 3 months of the year. Take a look. Now, that's actually a bit better than the last quarter of 2024 and even a touch higher than what some economists were expecting. The PSA says the biggest boost came from things like buying and selling goods, fixing cars and motorcycles, financial stuff, and manufacturing. Pretty much all the big parts of our economy saw some growth. Agriculture did okay, industry grew, and services were up too. Filipino spending money was a big factor, up by 5.3%. Government spending also saw a big jump. We also saw increases in businesses investing and in both our exports and imports. Overall, our gross national income, which includes income from abroad, grew even more at 7.5%. So while the 5.4% growth is positive, it's still a bit shy of the government's target for the whole year, which is between 6 and 8%. So some work still needs to be done to hit that goal. North Korea has launched multiple short-range ballistic missiles from its eastern coastal city of Wonsan, according to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, the missiles fired between 8:10 and 9:20 a.m. local time traveled up to 800 kilometers before landing in the East Sea. Take a look. South Korean officials suggest the launches may have been tests of missile systems intended for export, possibly linked to North Korea's reported arms support to Russia amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
We are currently analyzing the background and intent behind these launches. However, it is assessed that the launch may have been to test the performance and flight stability of missiles intended for export.
Japan also detected the missile activity, noting that one projectile may have flown on an irregular trajectory. No damage has been reported, and none of the missiles entered Japan's exclusive economic zone.
これまでの弾道ミサイル等の度重なる発射も含め、一連の北朝鮮の行動は我が国の地域及び国際社会の平和と安全を脅かすものであります。また、このような弾道ミサイル発射は関連する安保理決議に違反し、国民の安全に関わる重大な問題であります。今回の発射については、我が国として北朝鮮に対し、北京の大使館ルートを通じて厳重に抗議し、強く非難したところでございます。
This marks North Korea's first ballistic missile test since March and the sixth such event this year. The launches comes amid heightened tensions and increased military collaboration between Pyongyang and Moscow. Recent intelligence reports indicate that North Korea has supplied short-range ballistic missiles and deployed troops to support Russia's efforts in Ukraine, claims both nations deny. South Korea, the United States, and Japan are closely monitoring the situation and sharing intelligence to assess the implications of these developments. In Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping have showcased their deepening alliance during the 80th anniversary of Victory Day, commemorating the defeat of Nazi Germany. President Putin expressed gratitude to Xi for attending the celebrations, emphasizing their united stance against what he termed neo-Nazism.
Esteemed Mr. Chairman, dear friend and Chinese friends, it is my great pleasure to greet all of you in Moscow. I am very happy about our new meeting.
Я очень рад нашей новой встрече. Признателен, что
I do appreciate that, like on the previous Jubilee occasion, it was 10 years ago, you decided to visit us and share with us the celebration of the great victory over Nazi Germany in World War II, which is sacred for us. The combat brotherhood of our nations developed during those tough war years is one of the foundations of the contemporary Russian-Chinese relations of the overwhelming partnership and strategic cooperation. We develop our ties for the benefit of the peoples of both countries, not against anyone.
President Xi reinforced his sentiment, pledging solidarity with Russia against hegemonic bullying, a veiled reference to Western influence.
Facing the countercurrent of unilateralism and bullying internationally, China will work with Russia to shoulder the special responsibilities as world powers and permanent members of the UN Security Council to take on the responsibility. We should jointly promote the correct view of the history of World War II, safeguard the authority and status of the United Nations, resolutely defend the rights and interests of China, Russia, and the vast majority of developing countries, and work together to promote an equal, orderly, multipolar, and inclusive economic globalization.
The two leaders met in the Kremlin's opulent halls, referring to each other as dear friend, and are expected to issue a joint statement emphasizing their strategic partnership. The display of unity comes amid ongoing tensions with the West, particularly concerning the conflict in Ukraine, while Russia continues its military operations. China has maintained a position of neutrality, calling for peaceful resolutions. The Victory Day parade, featuring military displays and attended by over 24 foreign leaders, underscores the strengthening ties between Russia and China as they navigate the current geopolitical landscape. Meanwhile, Ukraine's major cities enjoyed a quiet night after a 3-day ceasefire declared by Russia came into effect today after a spate of drone and missile attacks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has condemned Russia's self-declared 3-day ceasefire as a facade following reports of continued Russian attacks in Ukraine's northeastern Sumy region. Despite the truce, which began on May 8 to coincide with Russia's Victory Day celebrations, Ukrainian officials reported that Russian forces launched guided bomb attacks, resulting in civilian casualties. The Ukrainian Air Force noted no missile or drone activity as of 8 a.m. local time, but ground assaults persisted in eastern Ukraine. President Zelensky marked Ukraine's Day of Remembrance and victory over Nazism by walking through central Kiev, paying respects to fallen soldiers, and criticizing Russia's Victory Day parade as a distortion of history.
Good morning, dear Ukrainians. Today is the day of remembrance and victory over Nazism, a day that we celebrate together with the whole world, with all those who 80 years ago fought for life, so that evil would lose, so that never again. Unfortunately, 3 years ago it happened again, and just like before, the air raid siren roared over Kiev again. Together, fight decisively, with force, with pressure, on the battlefield, in the diplomatic arena, in the economic space, wherever possible, so that it truly is never again, or the world will have to conduct the denazification and demilitarization of Russia.
Russia is gearing up for a massive celebration, now marking 80 years since the victory over Nazi Germany. Tanks and troops will parade through Moscow's Red Square, and President Putin has invited some key world leaders. He even declared a 3-day ceasefire with Ukraine around this time, including the day of the parade where reportedly Chinese President Xi Jinping is in attendance. There's also buzz about North Korean leader Kim Jong-un joining, but he sent a representative. Now, these two leaders are there alongside Putin. It would be a first ever official appearance together for the three. But what does this all mean? Take a look. While President Xi's attendance underscores the strengthening ties between China and Russia, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is notably absent. Instead, he has dispatched a top aide to represent North Korea at the event, highlighting the evolving dynamics of international alliances.
This is a very important holiday for Russians, what they call Victory Day on May 9th, because they, during World War II, faced an existential crisis with World War II. And so they reflect back on that as showing the resilience of the Russian state. It also was a time of cooperation between the Soviet Union and Western leaders.
North Korea's involvement in the Ukraine conflict has been significant, with reports indicating that approximately 600 North Korean soldiers have been killed while fighting alongside Russian forces.
I think that the participation by North Korea and China is important because it shows that Russia is escalating this conflict by bringing in out-of-region countries. North Korea does not have any dog in this fight. They're completely isolated from any impact of what's happening in Ukraine. So they're going out of area and creating an escalation by taking this war to Asia and creating ripple effects in the Northeast Asian region.
The presence of Chinese and North Korean representatives at the Victory Day parade sends a strong message to the international community, particularly the U.S. It signifies a consolidation of alliances that challenges Western influence and underscore the complexities of current geopolitical tensions.
You know, it's true that China and Russia have a strategic partnership, and North Korea and Russia have a strategic partnership, and North Korea and China have a strategic partnership. But this doesn't equate an axis that's going to control the world, and that's because they all have their issues with each other. These three sets of bilateral pairs have their sources of instability. So I don't see them coalescing in this way to create a new world order. They certainly can create a lot of uncertainty and a lot of challenges. So the influx of, we think now, 13,000 North Korean troops to the Kursk front in Ukraine, in Russia rather, has been significant for Russia's efforts to retake some of that territory. And certainly North Korea has been providing ammunition and other kinds of military equipment that Russia's in desperate need of. So that's important. China's dual use support also has furthered the Russian war effort. So I think that they can reinforce the challenges that each one makes, but I don't think we're going to see some kind of axis that's going to control the world.
As the world watches Moscow's display of military prowess, the underlying messages of unity among these nations and their stance against Western policies are unmistakable. The parade not only commemorates a historical victory, but also reflects the current state of global alliances and tensions. President Trump claims China initiated the forthcoming trade talks, but he's not budging on the 145% tariffs imposed on Chinese goods. With negotiations set in Geneva, the global market is watching closely.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he won't cut U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods to get Beijing to the negotiating table. His comments Wednesday came ahead of Saturday's icebreaker trade talks between China and the U.S. in Geneva. Until talks were announced this week, there had been no clear sign the world's top two economies wanted to defuse a trade war disrupting the global economy. And as tensions ratcheted up, Beijing has repeatedly said it wouldn't start talking with the U.S. unless tariffs were suspended.
China says in order to have substantive negotiations, you have to bring down your 145% tariffs. Are you open to pulling back your tariffs in order to get China to the negotiating table?
No. China's Commerce Ministry also claimed the U.S. approached Beijing to start talking, but on Wednesday, Trump seemed to suggest the opposite. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is considering exempting car seats, baby strollers, cribs, and other essential items for transporting children from the 145% tariffs in place on China. That's according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who testified before the House Financial Services Committee Wednesday. Trump sent mixed signals later. He told reporters he would look at specific industry requests for exemptions, but preferred to keep the duties broader and less complicated.
I want to make it nice and simple. I'm not looking to have so many exemptions that nobody knows what it's doing. We have to make it very simple.
Late in the day, Trump also teased a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country that he'd announced Thursday. The New York Times reported shortly after that it was a deal with the UK, citing 3 people familiar with the plans. It would mark the first trade deal struck since Trump's self-styled Liberation Day, when he imposed tariffs on all countries in early April. A White House spokesperson declined to comment on the Times report.
In response to newly imposed U.S. tariffs, Ford has announced price increases of up to $2,000 on 3 vehicles manufactured in Mexico. The affected models, the Mustang Mach-E, Maverick, and Bronco Sport, will see the hikes applied to units built after May 2. Take a look.
Ford has hiked prices on 3 models made in Mexico, making it one of the first major automakers to act following Donald Trump's imposition of sweeping global tariffs. Maverick pickups and Bronco Sport SUVs are among the cars affected. They'll go up by as much as $2,000 per model. A company spokesperson said the increases were a usual mid-year adjustment, combined with some impact from tariffs. They said the company was not passing on the full cost of the levies to customers. Earlier this week, Ford said the trade war would cost it about $2.5 billion this year, though it's working to reduce that number. Rival General Motors said last week that it expected a hit of up to $5 billion. Trump's tariffs have unleashed chaos across the industry. Major brands in the US and Europe have pulled financial forecasts, shifted production, and shuttered plants. After weeks of pushback, Trump eventually took steps to soften the impact, easing duties on imports of car parts. However, he has not lifted the 25% tariff imposed on finished vehicles. Analysts have said US auto sales could drop by 1 million units a year if those levies stay in place. Ford is actually better placed than some rivals to weather the storm, thanks to its high rate of local production. The company assembles 79% of its US market vehicles at home, compared with just 53% for GM. Most other brands have so far refrained from increasing prices, though Germany's Porsche and Audi have both flagged likely increases.
To Madrid, Spain now, where authorities are investigating what they're calling a serious act of sabotage. Copper thieves brought the high-speed rail network to a standstill last Sunday, disrupting travel for thousands. Service is now resuming, but the disruption has left many reeling. Beverly Madrid reports from Spain.
In Madrid, Spain, where high-speed train services are finally resuming after a dramatic night of disruption that left thousands stranded. On Sunday evening, copper thieves targeted the rail network, stealing cables from 4 locations within a 10-kilometer stretch near Toledo. A move Spain's Transport Minister Oscar Puente called a serious act of sabotage in a post on X. The thefts brought trains between Madrid and Andalusia to a standstill, with 9 trains left stuck between stations and many passengers forced to spend the night on board.
My 6th trip to Spain, it's very efficient, and then all of a sudden the last 2 weeks, what's going on?
Estamos esperando desde las 9:30 o así y no nos han comunicado nada, no nos han dicho nada, así que tendremos que esperar.
In Atocha, crowds waited for hours, some still shaken after last week's nationwide blackout that caused a similar chaos. State rail operator ADEV says service is gradually returning to normal, but delays continue as crews work to replace the stolen cables. The high-speed network, a symbol of Spain's push to decarbonize public transport, connects nearly all major cities but remains vulnerable to theft because it crosses remote countryside. The timing couldn't have been worse. This happened just as Madrid's long weekend ended and before Seville's big Feria festival. Authorities have launched an investigation and the president of Andalusia is demanding immediate solutions for affected travelers. For now, the mood here is a mix of relief and frustrations as Spain's prized high-speed rail system gets back on track. Reporting from Spain, this is Beverly Madrid for NET25 World News. Back to you, Alma.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. What a nail-biter in Boston last night. Jalen Brunson came up clutch for the New York Knicks, sinking 2 free throws with just 12.7 seconds left on the clock to steal a 91-90 victory over the Celtics. Take a look. The Knicks stole a dramatic 91-90 win in Boston last night, taking a 2-0 series lead. Jalen Brunson hit the game-winning free throws with seconds left after Knicks rallied from a 20-point third-quarter deficit. Josh Hart led New York with 23 points, while Karl Anthony Towns added 21 and 17 rebounds. Brunson finished with 17 and 7 assists. Despite 20 points each from Derek White and Jaylen Brown, the Celtics couldn't close it out, with Michael Bridges sealing the Knicks' victory by stripping Jason Tatum late. The Celtics struggled with three-point shooting for the second straight game. Game 3 is Saturday in New York.
And that's the playoffs. You got to keep fighting. Every possession matters. And you got to play all 48 minutes. And so we started slowly, got in a big hole, dug our way out, and then guys made a lot of tough plays. They were at their best when their best was needed down the stretch.
You know, when you're not making shots, you got to find ways to impact the game in a positive way. And, you know, that could be an offensive rebound, kick out for another opportunity, a defensive steal to get you out in transition and on the break and get an easy bucket.
Just had the ability to make plays tonight, and we didn't. Me, Jason, Derek, we got a lot of great looks, and we just got to convert. You know, we got to make plays. We just didn't make plays tonight.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.